Okay, let's get right into it. Imagine this. You're one of the world's biggest buyers of gold and silver, and then boom, just like that, your entire supply chain grinds to a halt. Well, that's exactly what just happened in India. Tons of precious metals got stuck at the border, but the government solution? Well, that was even more surprising.
So, what was the deal with this high-stakes traffic jam? You'd think it'd be some big, complicated issue, right? Nope. Turns out, a simple bit of paperwork was enough to throw one of the biggest precious metals markets on the planet into a complete panic.
All right, first up, let's just wrap our heads around how big of a deal this actually was. I mean, we're not talking about a couple of packages getting delayed here. This was a massive amount of wealth just frozen in place.
Yeah, you heard that right. Over 5 tons of gold. It had already landed in the country, sitting in a warehouse, but it couldn't get through customs. It was right there, but for the market, it might as well have been on another continent.
And it wasn't just gold either. On top of that, a whopping 8 tons of silver got tangled up in the exact same red tape, just stuck at the gate.
So what caused this huge pileup? What was the culprit? Well, it wasn't a shipping container crisis or a problem with a cargo plane. It all came down to a piece of paper, a classic case of bureaucracy grinding everything to a halt.
Okay, so the main player in this whole drama is a government body called the Directorate General of Foreign Trade, or the DGFT for short. You can pretty much think of them as the gatekeeper. If you want to bring gold or silver into India legally, you have to get their okay.
And this is exactly where everything went off the rails. See, it's supposed to be this super routine thing. Every year, the DGFT puts out a new list that says, okay, these banks are good to go. The old one expired right on schedule March 31st, but then nothing. Early April comes and goes, and silence. The green light never came on, and the entire import pipeline just seized up.
Now, a delay like this isn't just some small inconvenience. In a country that has such a massive, consistent appetite for gold and silver, this creates an immediate and serious supply squeeze, and the shockwaves are felt instantly.
And to really get why this matters so much, you just have to look at the numbers. We're talking about the world's #2 gold consumer and the #1 silver buyer. And here's the kicker. They import almost all of it. So when you suddenly turn off that supply tap, yeah, things get serious, fast.
And the timing? Oh, it could not have been worse. This whole mess was blowing up right before Akshaya Tritiya, which is one of the biggest gold-buying festivals of the entire year. It's like shutting down all the toy stores a week before Christmas. A massive supply crunch was brewing just as demand was about to hit its peak.
So, you can bet industry leaders were sounding the alarm. People like Surendra Mehta from the India Bullion and Jewelers Association were basically shouting, hey, we need clarity and we need it now. Because it's simple math, right? No imports means shortages, and shortages mean the price for everybody is going to skyrocket. The clock was ticking.
And you could literally see that pressure building in domestic prices. Gold was already trading at really high levels across India's big cities. This supply freeze, it was like pouring gasoline on an already anxious market fire. All of this chaos got some analysts thinking, was this really just an administrative slip-up? You know, someone forgot to file a form? Or was there maybe something bigger going on in the background, something to do with the wider economy? Because, gotta remember, this wasn't happening in a vacuum. India's economy was dealing with some serious headwinds. The cost of essential imports like oil and gas was climbing, putting a lot of pressure on the Indian rupee. So, when you're spending billions on non-essential imports like gold, it just makes that problem worse. People started wondering, maybe this delay wasn't an accident. Maybe it was a quiet, deliberate tap on the brakes. So, after days of all this uncertainty and growing concern, the government finally stepped in. And what they did wasn't just a quick patch-up job. Oh no, their solution was a pretty major shift in how things are done. First things first, they put out the immediate fire. A new authorization was issued, and just like that, the gates were opened. All that stranded gold and silver could finally get to the market, and new shipments could resume. Crisis averted for now.
And they didn't just give the keys to anyone. The new list includes 15 of the absolute biggest players in Indian banking. We're talking heavy hitters like SBI, HDFC Bank, and ICICI Bank. This helps make sure the whole process is stable and handled by major established institutions.
But this is the part that made everyone really sit up and pay attention. The biggest change of all. This new approval wasn't for the usual 1 year. This time, it's valid for 3 full years, locking things in all the way through March of 2029.
And that move from a 1-year renewal to a 3-year plan, that is a total game changer. It gets rid of that annual uncertainty, that drama that used to happen every single March. Instead, it gives the market long-term stability and predictability, and hopefully prevents this kind of mess from happening again anytime soon.
Which leaves us with one big, fascinating question. Was this whole thing just a practical fix for a bureaucratic blunder? Or are we seeing the beginning of a brand new, more strategic, long-term approach to managing gold's massive role in the Indian economy?
So there you have it. A bureaucratic headache turns into a major policy shift. If this explainer helped you make sense of the story behind the headlines, do us a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button. And I'm really curious to hear what you think. Is this a smart move for India's economy? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.